Told an alien she looked stunning. Her reply left me speechless. Part 3. Diplomatic Crisis. The station's emergency lighting cast everything in an eerie red glow as Theo sprinted through the corridors toward Medical Bay 7. Security personnel he passed looked confused, their communications systems malfunctioning, leaving them isolated from Central Command. Commander Rivers, a junior security officer, stopped him. "Sir, we're getting conflicting orders. Admiral Kessler issued a station-wide lockdown, but then we received countermanding instructions from—" "Ignore both," Theo cut in. "The station's been compromised again. Get your team to Medical Bay 7 immediately." Through the transformed bond, Theo could sense Naylor's growing urgency. Not just emotions now, but fragmented thoughts, images of masked figures, a device similar to Veridan's but larger, and a distinct impression of a ticking clock. As he rounded the final corner to Medical Bay 7, he found the entrance sealed, security protocols overridden. The control panel sparked with damaged circuitry when he tried to access it. "Commander." Lieutenant Patel's voice came from behind him as she approached with the security team. "Our systems are going haywire. Someone's initiated a station-wide communications blackout." "It's not someone. It's Veridan's people," Theo replied, trying the manual override on the door. "They were never the main threat. They were the distraction." Patel's expression darkened. "The prisoners are still secure. I checked personally. Then they have more allies we haven't identified yet." The door mechanism groaned but remained sealed. "We need to get in there. Now." One of the security officers stepped forward with a portable cutting tool. "Stand back, sir." As the officer began slicing through the door's locking mechanism, Theo closed his eyes, focusing entirely on the bond. "Nylara, we're cutting through. What's happening in there?" The response came in a series of disjointed impressions. 3 infiltrators, not in environmental suits but wearing station uniforms. They had subdued the medical staff and were adjusting a device in the center of the room that pulsed with sickly light. "It's some kind of amplifier," came Nyla's thought, clearer than before. "They're using our bond as a template." The security officer's cutting tool broke through with a shower of sparks. "Got it, sir." They forced the door open to find the medical bay in chaos. 2 staff members lay unconscious on the floor, while Nylara stood with her back against the far wall, facing 3 individuals, 2 humans and 1 Vexery, whose focus was entirely on a pyramidal device that hummed with increasing intensity. The infiltrators spun to face the intrusion, drawing weapons. "Stop them," shouted one, a human woman with Station Science Division insignia. "They'll ruin everything." The security team rushed forward, but the Vexery infiltrator activated something on his wrist, and a localized disruption field flared to life, slowing their advance. Theo locked eyes with Nylara across the room. Through their bond, a plan formed instantaneously, not in words, but in shared intention and understanding. Nylara's bioluminescent patterns flared brilliantly, momentarily blinding everyone in the room. In that instant, Theo rolled right while she moved left, both circling toward the central device. "The amplifier is keyed to our bond," Nylara called out. "They're trying to use it as a template to force artificial bonds across the station." One of the infiltrators fired at Theo, the energy blast scorching the wall behind him. "It's the only way to ensure controlled integration," the woman shouted. "Random bonding leads to chaos. We're creating order." Theo reached the device from one side as Nylara approached from the other. Their hands met on its surface, and through their touch, their bond surged with newfound strength. The device responded to their connection, its humming changing pitch as its internal lights shifted from sickly green to a resonant blue that matched Nylara's patterns. "No." The Vexery infiltrator lunged forward, but Lieutenant Patel intercepted him with a well-placed stun blast. The human infiltrators were quickly subdued by the security team, but the device continued to pulse, its energy building toward some unknown threshold. "We can't stop it," Nalara realized, her thoughts merging with Theo's. But we can redirect it. Understanding flowed between them without words. Together, they focused their minds through the bond, using their connection to speak to the device in a hybrid language of human command codes and vexillary energy patterns. The amplifier responded, its purpose shifting from forcing artificial bonds to strengthening the natural communication systems between human and vexillary technology throughout the station. The lights stabilized, emergency systems reset, and communications suddenly cleared. Admiral Kessler's voice boomed over the restored intercom. Security teams to all sectors. We have identified multiple infiltrators posing as station personnel. Verify identities of all staff. As the crisis in the medical bay subsided, Theo and Nalara remained connected to the device, using their bond to complete its reprogramming. When they finally stepped back, both were exhausted but triumphant. You repurposed their technology, Lieutenant Patil observed, examining the now dormant pyramid. We did, Nalara confirmed, her patterns pulsing softly. Instead of forcing bonds, it enhanced natural communication pathways. The door to the medical bay slid open again, revealing Admiral Kessler and Arbiter Zen, flanked by their respective security details. Both leaders looked grim, having clearly witnessed the extent of the infiltration. The station is secure, Kessler announced. We've detained 12 infiltrators total, a mix of humans and vexillary, all with modified genetics suggesting they're from this alternate timeline, Veridin claimed. Arbiter Zen's patterns shifted thoughtfully as he examined the neutralized device. They truly believed they were preventing a catastrophe by controlling how our species interact. His multifaceted eyes turned to Theo and Nalara. Yet you two have demonstrated that control is not the answer. Choice is. Before either could respond, the station's alert system activated again, but this time with a different tone. Not emergency, but arrival. Sir, Patil reported, checking her communication panel. We've got incoming vessels. Both Earth Command and the Vexillary High Council have dispatched diplomatic flagships. They're requesting immediate docking. Kessler and Zen exchanged glances, a rare moment of silent agreement between them. It seems our superiors have decided to take a more direct approach to this situation, Kessler said dryly. Through their bond, Theo and Ilara shared a mutual concern. High-level intervention could mean anything from support to separation. They cannot break what has formed between us, Nalara said quietly, her thought touching Theo's mind with reassurance. No, he agreed, but they can certainly complicate things. The following hours passed in a blur of security protocols, debriefings, and medical examinations. The infiltrators were secured in specialized containment, their hybrid technology quarantined for study. Station systems were purged of all compromising code, and the modified amplifier was placed under joint human vexillary guard. When the diplomatic flagships finally docked, the station was secure but tense with anticipation. The reception chamber had been hastily prepared for high-level dignitaries, with both Earth and Vexillary protocol officers fussing over proper arrangements. Theo and Nalara stood side by side, formally dressed but clearly exhausted from the day's events. Through their bond, they maintained a private conversation beneath their composed exteriors. Whatever happens, we face it together, Theo thought. As one, Nalara agreed, her patterns rippling subtly with determination. The doors slid open to reveal the Earth diplomatic contingent, led by Secretary General Valeria Ortiz, the highest civilian authority in the Federation. Behind her came the Vexillary delegation, headed by High Resonator Thelen, whose ancient patterns flowed like living constellations across his dignified form. Admiral Kessler stepped forward first. Secretary General, welcome to Nexus Station. We apologize for the unusual circumstances of your arrival. Unusual is an understatement, Admiral, Ortiz replied, her sharp eyes already finding Theo in the assembly. When I authorized Commander Rivers for this mission, I expected routine trade negotiations, not interdimensional infiltration and spontaneous psychic bonding. High Resonator Thelen moved with serene grace, his harmonics carrying smoothly through the translator. The unexpected often reveals truth that careful planning conceals. Secretary General. Perhaps we should view these events not as complications, but as illumination. Ortiz's expression remained diplomatic but cool. Illumination that nearly resulted in multiple casualties and a significant security breach, yet also prevented a greater catastrophe. Arbiter Zinn interjected. Were it not for the bond between Commander Rivers and Ambassador Nilara, the station might have been lost entirely. Secretary General Ortiz turned her full attention to Theo and Nilara. Commander Rivers, you were sent to negotiate fuel distribution clauses. Instead, you've initiated an unprecedented biological and diplomatic entanglement with a representative of an alien civilization. Explain yourself. Before Theo could respond, Nilara stepped forward slightly. If I may, Secretary General, the bond was not sought by either of us, but neither was it rejected. What began as accident has become choice. A choice with significant implications for both our species, High Resonator Thelen observed, his patterns shifting thoughtfully. The Council is divided on whether to celebrate this development or condemn it. As is Earth Command, Ortiz admitted. Some see potential, others see risk. The question remains, what are we to do with you two now? Theo felt Nilara's resolve strengthen through their bond, mirroring his own determination. They had faced infiltrators, sabotage, and attempts to control their connection. Now they faced perhaps their greatest challenge, the political machinery of two wary civilizations. With respect, Secretary General, High Resonator, Theo said firmly, what happens with our bond should be our decision. We've demonstrated that it poses no threat. Indeed, it saved this station and created a precedent. Ortiz countered. Others will seek to follow your example. The infiltrators weren't entirely wrong about the potential for chaos if bonding spreads uncontrolled. High Resonator Thelen's ancient eyes studied them with inscrutable depth. Yet control through force leads only to resistance. The Vexerie learned this lesson centuries ago, when we first encountered minds different from our own. A tense silence fell over the chamber as the leaders considered the situation. Through their bond, Theo and Nilara remained united, their shared consciousness a quiet defiance against the political calculations surrounding them. Finally, Secretary General Ortiz spoke. I propose a compromise. Commander Rivers and Ambassador Nilara will continue their bond under official observation. They will become a case study, the first sanctioned human Vexerie bonded pair. Their experiences will inform future protocols. Acceptable. High Resonator Thelen agreed, his patterns shifting to indicate formal approval. But they must not be treated as specimens. They will maintain diplomatic status and autonomy within reasonable boundaries. As the leaders continued negotiating terms, Theo felt something unexpected through the bond. Nilara's quiet amusement. They think they're deciding our fate, she thought to him. Yet they fail to understand that the bond itself has already changed everything. Theo suppressed a smile, aware that even now, their silent communication remained private, a space between minds that no political arrangement could fully regulate. So what happens now? He wondered. Nilara's response came with warmth that transcended species differences. Now we show them what's possible when worlds truly meet. As the diplomatic discussions continued around them, their bond pulsed with shared purpose, not just for themselves, but for the future their unexpected connection might help create. Salvation through understanding. The observation deck of Nexus Station offered the most spectacular view in the sector. A panoramic window that framed the swirling nebula and its scattered stars like a living painting. For the past week, it had also served as neutral ground for the ongoing negotiations between Earth and the Vexerie Conclave. Theo stood at the edge of the viewport, watching as a Federation patrol vessel completed its security sweep around the station. Since the infiltration attempt, security protocols had been heightened to unprecedented levels. Every visitor underwent molecular scanning, and both human and Vexerie systems monitored the station in synchronized harmony. a direct result of the repurposed amplifier technology. They increased the patrols again, Nilara observed, stepping beside him. Her bioluminescent patterns rippled in thoughtful blues and silvers, matching the nebula outside. Third time today, Theo agreed. Through their bond, he sensed her underlying concern. You're worried about the negotiations. She didn't need to answer aloud. Their connection had deepened further over the past week, allowing them to share not just emotions and thoughts, but nuanced impressions and intuitions. He felt her uncertainty about the diplomatic talks, her frustration with the endless political maneuvering, and beneath it all, her growing conviction that their bond represented something vital for both their species. The High Resonator seems receptive, Theo said, responding to her unspoken thoughts. Secretary General Ortiz is the greater challenge. She fears what she cannot control, Nilara replied. Her patterns shifted to a deeper blue, a common trait among those who bear great responsibility. They turned as the doors to the observation deck slid open. Lieutenant Pottle entered, her uniform crisp despite the exhaustion evident in her eyes. The security officer had been working double shifts since the crisis, coordinating the joint human vexery security teams. Commander, Ambassador, she acknowledged with a nod. They're ready for you in the council chamber. Theo and Nilara exchanged glances, sharing a moment of mutual resolve through their bond, before following Pottle from the observation deck. The council chamber had been reconfigured for the high-level negotiations. The circular table now accommodated both Earth and Vexery delegations, with holographic displays hovering above its polished surface, showing complex treaty provisions and security protocols. Secretary General Ortiz and High Resonator Thelen sat opposite each other, their aides and advisors arrayed around them like pieces on a game board. As Theo and Nilara entered, all conversation ceased. Every eye and multifaceted gaze turned toward them, some curious, others wary, a few openly hostile. Commander Rivers, Ambassador Nilara, Secretary General Ortiz acknowledged them. Please be seated. We're discussing the proposed framework for monitoring and studying your bond. They took their places in 2 seats positioned between the delegations, a physical representation of their unique status as neither fully part of one side nor the other. Admiral Kessler, now serving as Earth's security advisor for the negotiations, brought up a holographic display of brain scan comparisons. The latest readings show continued neural adaptation in Commander Rivers. His brain architecture is developing patterns previously only observed in Vexery telepaths. A murmur ran through the Earth delegation. One advisor, a stern-faced woman from the Xenobiology Division, leaned forward. This raises serious concerns about long-term physiological changes. Are we witnessing the first stage of genetic drift? Could this lead to hybridization similar to what we saw in the infiltrators? There is no evidence of genetic alteration, Dr. Watanabe countered. She had become something of an advocate for Theo and Nilara, fascinated by the scientific implications of their bond. The changes appear limited to neural pathways and electromagnetic field synchronization. High Resonator Thelen's patterns shifted thoughtfully. Among the Vexery, bonds strengthen unique identity rather than diminishing it. 2 minds in harmony do not become a single homogeneous entity. They become more fully themselves through the reflection and resonance of the other. Poetic, Ortiz remarked dryly, but hardly reassuring from a security perspective. Our concern is concrete. What happens when private thoughts and classified information exist in a shared mental space between representatives of different powers? Through their bond, Theo felt Nilara's frustration spike. Before she could respond aloud, he reached for her hand under the table, a gesture that had become their anchor during difficult moments. Their touch deepened their connection instantly, allowing them to share strength. Secretary General, Theo said calmly, our bond doesn't function like an open data channel. We don't automatically share every thought. We choose what to communicate, albeit in a more direct way than verbal speech. And we've both undergone extensive security training, Nilara added. The protocols for information compartmentalization apply to bond communication, as much as they do to traditional diplomatic exchanges. Arbiter Zen, who had been quietly observing until now, shifted forward. There is precedent among our people. When the Vexeri first encountered the Lyrani, similar bonds formed. Those pairs developed methods to maintain necessary boundaries while still benefiting from the connection. The discussion continued in circles, with both delegations raising concerns and seeking assurances. Through it all, Theo and Ilara remained connected through their bond, presenting a united front while navigating the complex political waters. Suddenly, the station's alert system activated, not the shrill emergency alarm, but a persistent warning tone that indicated an approaching vessel. Lieutenant Patel's communication panel lit up. "Unidentified craft approaching at high velocity," she reported, not responding to hails. Admiral Kessler was immediately on his feet. Security teams to alert status. Shields up. The holographic displays shifted to show external views of space around the station. A sleek vessel was approaching, neither human nor Vexeri in design, but with elements reminiscent of both. It moved with unnatural speed, its hull shimmering with energy signatures that confounded standard scanners. "It's them," Theo realized aloud. More infiltrators from the alternate timeline. Through their bond, he and Nilara simultaneously recognized the vessel's hybrid design principles, the same aesthetic that had characterized Veridan's technology. Secretary General Ortiz turned to High Resonator Thelen. "Your flagship has superior scanning technology. Can you identify their capabilities or intentions?" The ancient Vexeri nodded, his patterns rippling as he communicated with his vessel. After a moment, his luminescence dimmed with concern. "The vessel carries a quantum displacement device," he reported, "similar in principle to what allowed the infiltrators to cross between timelines, but far more powerful. Its energy readings are concerning." "Define concerning," Kessler demanded. "If detonated near the station, it could potentially create a rupture between realities," Thelen explained. "The resulting temporal displacement would extend several light years. The implications hit everyone simultaneously. Not just the station would be affected, but potentially entire star systems, billions of lives across multiple realities." "They're making their final move," Nilara said quietly. "If they cannot control how our species bond, they will attempt to reset the timeline entirely." Through their connection, Theo sensed something else, a pattern of thought, a possibility that Nilara was considering. He followed her mental reasoning and found himself arriving at the same conclusion. "The amplifier device," they said in unison. All eyes turned to them.